Hi, I am Rihanna, SNIT Ado. We are studying the subject Ground Improvement Techniques for 6th semester Civil Engineering as per APJ K2 syllabus, and we have completed all the portions as per syllabus, and now we are on the revision part. As a part of revision, currently we are discussing the previous year questions and the scheme of answering for it. Today I am going to discuss the previous year questions from Module 3. Module 3 is regarding soil stabilization. First question. Explain briefly soil bitumen stabilization. It is asked for 5 marks. Your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, soil bitumen stabilization procedure, list any 2 advantages and disadvantages of soil bitumen stabilization. Since the question is asked for only 5 marks, first of all you have to give an introduction, that is define what is soil stabilization. Then specify what is soil bitumen stabilization. After that list out the step-by-step procedure for this soil bitumen stabilization technique. And then list any 2 advantages and any 2 disadvantages of soil bitumen stabilization. The second question is explain the principle of soil lime stabilization. It is also asked for 5 marks. Your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, soil lime stabilization principle, soil lime stabilization procedure. So first of all you have to define what is soil stabilization, then specify the principle for soil lime stabilization, and then list out the step-by-step procedure for soil lime stabilization. The third question is what do you understand about fly ash stabilization? It is also asked for 5 marks. Your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, mention what is fly ash stabilization, fly ash stabilization procedure. So since the question is asked for 5 marks, first of all you have to define what is soil stabilization. Then define fly ash stabilization. After that explain the step-by-step procedure of fly ash stabilization. The fourth question is explain how the engineering properties are changed by the addition of calcium and sodium chlorides. It is also asked for 5 marks question. We know that calcium and sodium chloride stabilization is a type of admixture stabilization. So your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, importance of chemical admixture soil stabilization, brief explanation on procedure of soil stabilization with sodium and calcium chloride, and brief explanation on effect of calcium and sodium chloride additions in the engineering properties of soil. So first of all you have to define what is soil stabilization and state the importance of chemical admixture soil stabilization by 2 or 3 sentences, and then a brief explanation on the procedure of soil stabilization with sodium and calcium chloride. After that you have to clearly explain the effect of calcium as well as sodium chloride admixtures in the engineering properties of soils, that is how it affects the engineering properties of the soil. The fifth question is explain the principle and mechanism of cement stabilization. It is asked for 8 marks. Your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, cement stabilization principle, cement stabilization procedure, and mechanism of cement stabilization. Since the question is asked for 8 marks, the answer should be elaborate, and first of all you have to define the soil stabilization, then cement stabilization principle, you have to specify the cement stabilization principle. After that explain the step-by-step procedure for cement stabilization, and mechanism of cement stabilization should be explained if possible with sketches. Next question, what are the different mechanisms involved in lime stabilization? It is asked for 5 marks. Your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, lime stabilization principle, and mechanism of lime stabilization. So your answer should include, first of all, you have to give what is soil stabilization as an introduction, then specify what is lime stabilization and what is the principle behind it, then explain the mechanism of lime stabilization. Next is 7th question. Write a short note on lime fixation point and optimum lime content, which is asked for 6 marks. The answer should include mention what is lime stabilization, list out the step-by-step procedure of lime stabilization, briefly explain the lime fixation point and optimum lime content in lime stabilization. So, since the question is regarding lime stabilization, first of all you have to mention what is lime stabilization, then list out the step-by-step procedure of lime stabilization and briefly explain the lime fixation point and optimum lime content in lime stabilization. The 8th question is list out and explain the effect of lime on physical and engineering properties of soil. The question is asked for 9 marks. Your answer should include definition for soil stabilization, lime stabilization principle, mechanism of lime stabilization, brief explanation on the effect of lime on physical and engineering properties of soil, and list the advantages and disadvantages of lime stabilization. Since the question is asked for 9 marks, you should have explained the answer thoroughly. First of all, you have to give the introduction for this answer, that is, you have to define what is soil stabilization. Then specify the principle behind lime stabilization. After that, you have to explain the mechanism of lime stabilization and then give an explanation on the effect of lime on the physical properties of soil and effect of lime on the engineering properties of soil. After that, list out the advantages of lime stabilization and disadvantages of lime stabilization. Question number 9. Discuss the process of cement stabilization in field. The question is asked for 7 marks. The answer should include definition for soil stabilization, cement stabilization principle, cement stabilization procedure, mechanism of cement stabilization, and advantages and disadvantages of cement stabilization. So your answer should include give an introduction part as what is soil stabilization and what is cement stabilization. Then specify the principle behind cement stabilization. After that, list out the step-by-step procedure for cement stabilization. Then briefly explain the mechanism for cement stabilization and list out the advantages and disadvantages of cement stabilization. Clearly explain the process of cement stabilization in field. So these are some questions asked in the previous year from 3rd module. 3rd module is an elaborate module. Questions may be asked from different parts. So its 3rd module is regarding to the soil stabilization techniques. In 3rd module, we have studied the different soil stabilization techniques such as soil bitumen stabilization, soil lime stabilization, fly ash stabilization. That is the soil stabilization using chemical admixtures as well as granular admixtures. Studied thoroughly, and hoping that you have understood these previous year questions. And okay, thank you. Stay safe.